Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'll be reacting to our round of 16 prediction. If you're going to enjoy this video, don't forget to drop it a like as it really helps us out. Comment down below who you think will win this year's Champions League. Up first we have Tottenham versus AC Milan, and I'm glad to say we all voted in favour of AC Milan to advance through, and they did just that. Tottenham crashed out of the Champions League after failing to score against AC Milan for the second time. Tottenham had no urgency and no real mentality of, oh, we've got to win this game. Very slow build-up play, and the captain Harry Kane went missing yet again in a major game. Too many times he's not showed up in a crucial game for Spurs, and this really shows why he's perfect for the club. He has to grab this game by the neck and put in a performance that the fans will be proud of, but yet he flops yet again. It makes me think of the 2019 UCL final, the Carabao Cup final as well against City, and the Qatar World Cup with England. With that loss, the eyes are firmly fixed on Antonio Conte now, as his deal expires at the end of the season, and people wonder where he'll manage next year, after yet another disappointing season with Spurs. Credit to AC Milan as they advanced through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. They limited Tottenham after putting a fantastic defensive display in both legs. They deservedly go through. They have come so far in a few years from great signings like Tomori, Tonali and Maignan to help resurge the club back to its glory days, constantly challenging the Serie A and in and around the UCL year in, year out. Maldini deserves massive credit for effectively saving Milan, so all credit to them. How far will Milan go in the UCL? Let us know in the comments down below. Up next we have PSG versus Bayern Munich. Me and Lee predicted PSG to go through on this one, however Callum predicted Bayern, so fair enough to Callum. He said that PSG couldn't handle it against structured sides and he got it bang on this time. Paris Saint-Germain crashed out of the UEFA Champions League yet again after losing 2-0 to Bayern Munich. Bayern put on an impressive display with goals from Choupo-Moting and Serge Gnabry to send the Bavarian club through to the last 8. PSG disappointed in the Champions League yet again with another early exit after having what can only be described as a super team. They failed to score in both legs of the tie, and apart from the goal line clearance from De Ligt, PSG never really troubled the Bayern backline. Neymar missed the game for injury, which is no surprise, and PSG looked so vulnerable in defence and showed why they didn't deserve to be in the quarterfinals. Massive amounts of wages being spent on players just to win Ligue 1 is not sustainable, and for me PSG need a major clear out in the summer in order to build a team of players and not individuals. Who should PSG sell or buy in the summer? Let us know in the comments down below. Up next we have Chelsea versus Borussia Dortmund. We all agreed on Chelsea to go through to the next round and we got that spot on. Graham Potter enjoyed his finest night as Chelsea manager as they overcome a first leg deficit against Borussia Dortmund to reach the Champions League quarter-finals. Potter was under huge pressure after a disappointing run of form, however he saw his team finally click as they fought back to send Dortmund crashing out, who themselves were on a 10-game winning streak. Chelsea played very well on the night with goals from Raheem Sterling and Kai Havertz. Sterling scored the all-important opener and caused Dortmund's high line all sorts of problems with some intelligent runs off the last defender. Unlucky not to score more goals as they were chalked off for close call offsides. Sterling for me was man of the match. Dortmund however disappointed after a promising first leg display. They will now have the Bundesliga to concentrate on with a mouth-watering title race which is set to go to the wire with Bayern Munich. Chelsea have now progressed from 5 UEFA Champions League knockout stages after losing the first leg, the joint most of any team in the competition's history. How far do you see them reaching this year? Let us know in the comments down below. Up next we have Benfica versus Club Brugge, and we all predicted Benfica to go through on this one, and yet again we got it spot on. Clinical Benfica thrashed Club Brugge 5-1 with 2 goals from striker Goncalo Ramos to knock the Belgian side out of the Champions League and reach the quarterfinals. The Portuguese side dominated the game and could be a surprise package in this year's competition. Another poor display from Club Brugge meant that Scott Parker was rightfully sacked after a dismal spell at the Belgian outfit. This display just showed how poor the Belgian side were under his management. No attacking plan, no cohesion in defence, and a midfield that specialised in consistency getting run over. Benfica as a whole were impressive in their bid to make the quarterfinals, but Goncalo Ramos showed his killer instinct. He constantly terrorised Bruges' backline as he always seemed to be one step ahead of everyone in terms of finding space and creating gaps. With 2 goals, an assist, 1 key pass and 3 out of 3 successful dribbles, he became the youngest Portuguese player to score twice in a Champions League knockout stage match and the first Benfica player to be directly involved in 3+ goals in a Champions League match since Carlos Martins in November 2010 against Lyon. Up next we have FC Porto versus Inter Milan, and we all voted in favour of the Nerazzurri to get the job done, and they did just that. Inter Milan advanced to the Champions League quarterfinals for the first time since 2011 after drawing 0-0 with Porto at the Estadio de Dragão. The Italians went into the game with a 1-goal advantage after the first leg and held firm in the second to defend their lead. Porto played quite well and did create a few chances, but they never looked convincing in front of goal, and a lot of that was down to defensive work from Simone Inzaghi's side. They were switched on at all times. Former Liverpool man Marko Grujic had a great game and was incredibly unfortunate not to have a dramatic winner on the night, with an effort being crashed off the bar in the 97th minute. He created the most chances in the game and won the most duels, which showed the quality of his all-round game, offensively and defensively. However, a brilliant hard-fought, well-organised defensive display earned Inter a spot in the quarterfinals. On to the next one now, and we have Manchester City versus Leipzig. We all voted for Manchester City in this one, and they got the job done, and now they're through to the quarterfinals. We are used to seeing Erling Haaland score many goals, and he showed that yet again, scoring 5 times in 57 minutes. The Norwegian is the first man in 9 years to score 5 in a Champions League game. It might have been more had Pep Guardiola not withdrawn him. Manchester City devastated RB Leipzig and powered into the Champions League quarterfinals. If they continue in this vein, it would take something significant to stop them lifting the trophy in June. City looked to pass the ball forward early and quickly, which made all the difference. They were able to draw their opponents into places they did not want to be, creating space in behind and all over the pitch. They were irresistible. Leipzig would be hugely disappointed with this result, as losing to Man City isn't bad in itself, but it's the manner they lost in. Conceding 7 in any game is not acceptable, especially with good players like Gvardiol, Konrad Laimer and Emil Forsberg. Do you see City finally winning the Champions League this year? Let us know in the comments down below. Real Madrid versus Liverpool is next, and we all voted in favour of Real Madrid to go through this one, and they did just that. Real Madrid cruised into the Champions League quarterfinals after the holders' 5-star display at Anfield meant a low-key 1-0 win at the Bernabeu was enough to emphatically knock Liverpool out of the competition. The Merseysiders had produced heroic comebacks in the past, but it was never on the cards here as Karim Benzema netted the only goal of the game 12 minutes from time to secure a 6-2 victory on aggregate for Carlo Ancelotti's Spanish champions. Vinicius Jr. was man of the match, no goals on this occasion, but once again the Brazilian tore apart Trent Alexander-Arnold and struck fear into Liverpool's defence every time he got on the ball. Only some last-ditch defending and wonderful goalkeeping from Alisson denied him a goal, but he did pick up an assist and he continues to thrive on the biggest stages. Liverpool's 6-2 aggregate loss to Real Madrid is the heaviest margin of defeat over 2 legs of a Champions League knockout tie. Up next we have Napoli versus Frankfurt, and we all put in favour of Napoli of going through this one, and they did just that. Napoli swatted aside Eintracht Frankfurt to book their place in the quarterfinals of the Champions League for the first time in their history. Victor Osimhen continued his prolific season to bag a double and helped his side to a 3-0 win and secured a 5-0 aggregate victory. It keeps Luciano Spalletti's informed team on course for what could be a historic domestic and European double. Napoli have finally reached the Champions League quarter-final, and it's well overdue. Not only are they storming their way through Serie A, quickly chasing the first Scudetto title since the Diego Maradona-inspired season of 1990, but they're doing it in Europe as well, and in style. No surprises here as we put Osimhen as our man of the match. He netted his 22nd and 23rd goals of the season to add to his first leg goal, which put Napoli well on their way to the last 8. Another couple for the Nigerian takes his Champions League tally to 4 this season, which contributes to 50 goals in 90 appearances for Napoli. That is that for that video, guys. Callum got 100% guess ratio, so well done to Callum. Me and Lee just got 1 short in the end, but yeah, on to the quarterfinals. If you enjoyed that video, don't forget to drop it a like, subscribe to the channel, stay tuned for our next upload, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.